everyone. Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Connecting Greeks podcast. I am Ari, and I am here with my two lovely co-hosts. First up is Foti Stamos. How are you, Foti?
I'm doing very well. And yourself?
I am good, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for two reasons. We have an amazing guest, somebody who's vastly interesting and who's doing great things. But before we get to this amazing guest, let's talk about our amazing third co-host, Angelo Tsadoukas. What's up, Angelo?
Hey guys, what's up? Everything's good. It's raining in LA, but we
Wow.
need the rain. We need the rain. And I'm very happy with our guest today on the show. He's been on the show before. He's a friend of the show. I just recently watched The Kindness Within. He just made a documentary film, The Kindness Within, Journey to Freedom. And I was so impressed with this. It's on Amazon Prime. And he's an author, philanthropist, filmmaker, friend. And I thought I've seen most of your stuff. And you were at St. Sophia, the kids, you had the books. My daughter read your book. But I just want to say welcome, Leon Logothetis, to Connecting Greeks. Welcome, Leon.
Thank you so much for having me again.
That's great. Now, Leon, I got to say this. We're watching it. And this is, people make documentaries and you come out and your opening statement and this documentary is you wrote yourself a note. And this documentary. And you go on a journey to India, which I've been to a few times, a spiritual journey. And it was, I honestly have to tell you, it was extremely moving because I think a lot of people will connect to your honesty with this and the truth that was behind it. And how did this all come about? I mean, I'll let you tell us,
Sure. So for those that don't know anything about me, which is probably most of the people listening, I used to be a broker in the City of London. And on the outside, I pretty much had everything you could ever want. But on the inside, I had pretty much nothing you would want. I was very, very depressed, no sense of purpose. Anyway, I've shared this story many times, but I stumbled across the movie The Motorcycle Diaries, which is a romanticized version of Che Guevara traveling around South America, relying on kindness. And to cut a very, very, very long story short, after watching that movie, I quit my job and I started to travel around the world relying on kindness. I did many crazy things, including hitchhiking from Times Square to the Hollywood sign on kindness. I hitchhiked from the Eiffel Tower to Red Square, Moscow in kindness. I bought a vintage London taxi and drove it from New York to Los Angeles, giving free cab rides to people. I purchased a vintage yellow motorcycle with a sidecar called Kindness One, sort of like Air Force One, but a little bit yellower. And I basically drove it from Los Angeles all the way around the earth back to Los Angeles with no money, relying entirely on the kindness of strangers. And then I went a bit crazy and I bought a vintage yellow Beetle and I drove it from Alaska in the middle of winter all the way down to Argentina, where I arrived in the middle of winter, relying on the kindness of strangers. And you could probably think to yourself, wow, you were living the dream, right? I was speaking in stadiums, I was writing best-selling books, and I was living the dream in many ways. I was appearing on some really great TV shows, etc., etc., etc. And I thought I'd arrived. The only problem was when I arrived, I realized I had not arrived. And all the things that I was running from, all the pain, all the depression, all the anxiety, the things that many of us suffer from, I had not outran them. And you mentioned a note. That note is what I talk about at the beginning of the movie. I was having a dark night of the soul a few years back, realizing that I had in fact not arrived and I had to face my pain. And I wrote this note. I never acted on it, a suicide note. I never acted on that. Instead, I called my therapist. We talked through it. And the next morning, I found myself in a bookshop on Abbot Kinney in Venice. and I randomly see a book by Paramahansa Yogananda, The Autobiography of a Yogi. Now, I've seen that book many, many, many times, but I never picked it up. And this day I decided to pick it up. I opened it, randomly opened it to a page, randomly looked at a paragraph, read the paragraph, and in it, he says to his soon to be guru, "If you reveal God to me, I will follow you anywhere." And in that moment, I had an epiphany, another epiphany. And I thought to myself, that's it. I'm going to go to India and I'm going to find God. I'm not talking about the God that lives in the sky. I'm talking about the God that lives in all of us, the universal energy of love, source, universe. And I went to India and I searched for God. And that's the movie. So basically, that was a quick rundown of the past 20 years of my life.
No, Leon, I got to tell you, like, brave, because you put it out there. I loved your therapist when you show the conversation you're having with them, and you put it out there for everybody to see it. And then you go to India, and you're right, it's a search. Is it fair to say now, in the world we live in, technology, we have more technology, more connective, we're able to connect more, and we have more technology than ever. Today's an example of that, which is good. Yet we're more disconnected than ever. I got a lot of friends. They don't, they want to meet somebody to go on a date. They're swiping on their phone. Like, they're not. There's none of this connection happening. And what I liked about your film is that you went to a place that I think a lot of people, myself included, have gone to. When you think, you just, and then you took that, you turned it around. You said, you know what? I'm going to go on this spiritual journey, and you end up going in mosques, churches, temples, these spiritual leaders, and you allowed yourself to go through that journey. Now, it's interesting because when I see your stuff, and I've seen the Kindness Diaries, I've seen your films, I've read your book. The thing that I noticed, though, and I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but to me, who takes from Alaska to Argentina? I also find admirable, and you're doing something a lot of people wouldn't do. You're putting yourself out of your comfort zone, and I think your journey is the spiritual thing, because a lot of people, I got friends that won't go to Fresno because they think, oh no, it's too much traffic. I can't. We're talking people who have air conditioning, and you're like, no, I'm going to go from Alaska all the way to Patagonia. They're all the way down to Argentina on the kindness, and the whole purpose of it is that you have the resources. That's not the point. To you, you're saying, and it shows in the work you're doing, is that even with all that stuff, because we live in a world, I think, where most people would want to be in your situation, where they have all these resources and all the privileges and stuff, and we put too much emphasis on that, and we don't live life. And the idea, and I think everybody, it's on Amazon Prime, The Kindness Within, The Journey to Freedom. I loved it. I'm going to probably watch it again, because it was honest and earnest. And it was, I thought, very courageous on your part, because some people, and that's a problem today. I know I'm pontificating too much, but I just had to tell you this, because you really reached out to me. Most people hide that. And then you see what happened, and look, I'm not even making this up. An hour before we got on this podcast today, I have a friend of mine in Canada who was a very, very good stand-up comedian, and he passed away this morning, and we don't know how. And I spoke to him 2-3 weeks ago, and he wasn't in a good place. He moved up to Nova Scotia, and I was talking to him. I go, how's it going? Whatever. I'm having a hard time dating. I'm not, he was having a hard time with the stand-up comedy. You get in a funk, and not just because we're in entertainment. I think in any walk of life, people get there. And what I liked about, the kindness that you're doing, that you're going for it, and you're allowing yourself to talk. Like, I like when you went to talk to the couple in the church, and you went to the mosque, the guy with the love and all the other stuff, it shows people. And I think the thing I like about you, and and maybe it's in our Greek blood, we go to places. And an example of that is you look at our parents that left this little place in the Mediterranean and went all around the world, not knowing it. And in essence, I see you. That's part of you. It's not all of you. It's part of you that you have that. We're going to go like the Odyssey. We're going to go on the voyage. Like I got to go do this. My question is that part of it? Like not everybody would do that, but you did it. Like I mean, is that part of the? Is it cathartic? Is it part of your cleansing in a sense by doing that? I'm
What?
curious.
Yeah, 100%. You know, I remember it was in the early 2000s. I was on a ship from Chios to Athens, and I arrived in Piraeus very, very early in the morning. And I sensed that this is exactly what it would have felt like, not on this type of ship with a motor engine, obviously, but this is exactly what it would have felt like to Alexander the Great, exactly what it would have felt like to all of our ancestors, right? This
Right.
travel, this wanderlust, this seeing the world early in the morning as it was always meant to be, and this sense of adventure, going out into the world and not just having an adventure externally, but having an adventure internally. I remember I always used to have a very rich imagination, which I still do. I would be swimming in the pool in Greece and pretending I was diving for treasure. And that never left me. And
Right.
travel is really the school of life. And I wouldn't be the person I am today if I hadn't traveled. And look, I get it. I'm privileged in many ways. The ability to have traveled to all the places I've gone to, the ability to get up and quit my job and travel around the world on kindness. A lot of people, they can't do that. I understand that. And it's a privilege to be able to have done that. And that's why it's so important to me that these movies and these TV shows and these books get seen by as many people as possible, because I want them to see what is possible, right? And it's not easy.
Right.
I'm not saying it's easy. It isn't easy. I'm not
No.
suggesting you quit your job and go to India and find God, because the reality is you don't need to go to India to find God. You can go wherever you are to find God, right? Um, but it's interesting. I was having a chat with my marketing people, and they were like, "Well, let's do this, let's do that. Maybe we can sell some more books." And I said, "Listen, I don't care about selling books. What I care about is getting people to watch this movie so that they can be transformed the same way that I was transformed when I watched the Motorcycle Diaries. I would rather 10,000 people be transformed than 10,000 books be sold.
Mm.
Although if you want to buy 10,000 books, please, you can."
By all means.
Something that you just triggered. So Angelo mentioned, and Leon, you also mentioned that you did have a privilege, you did have resources, but that's, to me, as an outsider looking in, to me, that makes everything that you've done even more impressive, because you could do a lot of different things, but this is what you did. You traded up, what 99% of people, I imagine, will be like, I'm gonna sit, on a boat with my buddies, or with whoever, and sip champagne and do whatever. That's what most of the people, especially today, that's what they're all about. And you have something inside you, and you went with it, no matter what your situation was. You went with it, and that to me is pretty impressive, because I think if I had resources, I don't know if I would be strong enough to resist, these materialistic urges. I don't know, but it's very impressive to hear that's the path that you chose, and the path that fulfills you, right?
Yeah, I think the path chose me. And what I mean by that is the pain that I was in internally was so great that I had no choice but to do something extraordinary, right? And by extraordinary, I mean, doing something out of my comfort zone,
Mhm.
which we can all do. If I wasn't in that much pain, I wouldn't have done it. it's simple. I just would have coasted. And there are sometimes in life today that I'm in pain, but I'm not in so much pain that I just coast. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. So
Well,
pain is sometimes good.
Right.
I think the pain is a motivator, and you talk about that in your film. And even when you talk to those people who understand, it's a good point. Uh, I was in Greece in October, and for most of us in the diaspora, like us, we grew up a lot of times centered around our church, the Greek church.
Mm.
And you go to Greece now, and you notice a lot of the new generation don't go to church.
Hmm.
They're not going. It's a lot of socioeconomic issues in Greece. It's like everywhere, like in America, Canada, Australia. But in Greece, because when I do my show, I talk about, I incorporate Pasca and all that kind of stuff. And they came out, and funny, people came up to me, and the guy said to me, he's a history teacher in Thessaloniki, and he said, it's interesting to hear your perspective of growing up Greek in the diaspora. He goes, you talk about the church, which tends to let me believe that you're, and I don't go all the time. I like what Leon, like in your film, it's like, God is where you find it. You could find it in your backyard, you could find it in New Delhi, you could, and that's the point of the film. You went on a journey because that's how you deal with it, and it's wonderful. But when I was in Greece, I found it interesting that they don't go to church, not everyone, but the newer generation now doesn't. And I think what's happening, a lot of it is socioeconomics. I understand that. But at the same time, it's like they're not interested in it.
Mm.
And if I'm on the road sometimes, I'm in a strange city like Cincinnati or Seattle, and I'm with other comedians who they're just regular comics. They want to get high, get drunk, get laid, whatever. And I'm like, oh guys, I got to stop at this church. I want to light a candle. And they're fascinated by it. They think, and then they want to come in with me to it. That's what I liked about your film is we're going on the journey with you, and we're seeing the people you meet. We're feeling your pain. That girl, the young girl that you're talking to, you went into the water with her. You're experiencing it, and for people, well, I would say naysayers, right, Leon? But I would say the people who are scared of it or scared to go there. Oh, me pas, don't go to India, don't go to Egypt, and I've been to these places. You should go, and I think that's what I so liked about what you did, especially in this film, was uh, it was a deeper thing. I mean, the Kindness Diaries were wonderful on Netflix. I love watching all of those. But in this film, what I think people will, and I'm sure you've heard it, people can, I felt like I was with you. Does that make sense? And I
Absolutely.
think I was with you, and then I'm experiencing it with you, and it's making me understand things. So if you're wondering, are you getting the message across? You are, and I applaud you for that because you're not doing it for doxa. You're doing it because you really want to figure this stuff out for yourself, and by doing that, you taking it upon yourself, it's almost like other people see this and say, wait a second, what am I complaining about? This man has gone across the world and he's in these religious retreats and temples and all over the place, and people are welcoming you, and they're like, and it's like se catalaveno, they understand you, and that's the thing. Sometimes, do you find that sometimes your own family and friends don't get you? And then you go somewhere and the guy looks at you for the first time. Like the one guy said to you, he goes, I've never met you before. I feel like I've known you my whole life. And I'm like, yes. And I'm thinking, how is that possible? But yet you felt the connection from the man. I can't remember his name now because they have longer names than us.
Salman.
Salman. Salman. Salman. And it's funny. I thought when I see Leon, I'm going to tell him, I thought our names were long. They got their names are long. But do you find that? I mean, what's the feedback you've received from it? That's how I felt about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a cliche that is that we're all one. We've all heard it before, and we're like,
Right.
yeah, we're all one. We're all one. Why do we keep fighting? We're all one. And we can understand that intellectually, but until we understand it in the very center of our being, we don't really truly understand it. And that moment that you mentioned with Salman, when he says that I don't know you, but the moment I saw you, I knew you, is exactly what I mean by we are all one. And it took me a while to experience that, to experience what he was saying. Like he was saying it, I understood it intellectually. But after the movie finished and after all the people that I'd met, I had had my own moment of realization in my soul, in my heart, that at the very essence of our humanity, we are one. Does that mean, and I felt it, I've experienced it. I've experienced it about some of the worst people out there.
Mm.
Literally, I've had moments of that. And those moments, they don't last, right? And
Right,
then
right,
maybe
right.
20 minutes later or 30 minutes later, I'm like, how could I even think that, right? Or feel that. But you can't unfeel it. I can't unfeel that oneness that I felt in India and that I have glimpses of again whilst I am back home.
Wow.
It's interesting. It's interesting because when I was in India, and I experienced this in South Africa, when I was we went north of Calcutta. It was my friend Russell Peters. We went to meet his family, and we drove up to the family, and they thought I was going to be weirded out about it. And we got there, and there's the Thea, the auntie, the grandmother, the kids. We went into the house the same way the Greeks bring out the glika and the drinks, and they all sat together. And his brother looked at me and goes, "This must be weird for you." I said, "Actually, it's not." I said, "Because this feels like the Horio where my dad's from in Peloponnese. The characters are different. The people are the same. The Theo, and I had that same experience in South Africa, and I saw it with you because you've traveled literally around the world at grassroots level, meeting people, and it's like that's also rewarding and can be dangerous at times. Also, I mean, it's not everybody's going to go put themselves like that, but what I realized was once you get past that fear, and when that man told you, he sees you for the first time, and says, we never met, but I feel like I've known you my whole life," and you knew it was genuine. It wasn't like bullshit. The guy and I felt that, and you were like, because you're in a search mode and you're looking for this stuff, and I think I hope that most people can take 90 minutes of their time to watch your film, the documentary, because it answers for a lot of people. I think it can answer a few questions that they may not want to share with family members or even with therapists because we're too proud, right, Foti? Like I'm just saying we're too
Right.
proud to talk about this stuff. And they
Mhm.
go, Tisa Pirazi. And I thought this was cathartic for me. Watch it. So I really, people who are going to watch this podcast, you know, The Kindness Within, A Journey to Freedom on Amazon Prime. You got to watch this. It's really, really that good. I felt connected with it.
You know,
Can
if,
I can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Again, this Angela speaking and Leon when you were talking, um, I sometimes put myself in your place. So Leon, I'm hearing what you're doing, and I'm like, I can't imagine, and I wish I could. So I try to put myself. So it's not random, but it's kind of backtracking a little bit. When you are traveling, so you said you were giving free rides because you were going across the country. Now, how exactly do you like in the climate of the world? Like we're in a pretty bad situation currently with division, with all sorts of craziness. How do you go about opening up yourself or having somebody else open up to you to a point where you're like, okay, this person's not going to murder me. This person is a good person. I'm giving him a ride, a total stranger. Um, like how do you go about that? That is vastly interesting to me because that's something I can't ever see me doing. And but I think it would be a great thing to be able to do.
Intuition.
Yeah?
So I've traveled so much and I put myself in so many interesting situations that I understand people. I have this sixth sense. We all do, right? But I don't want to say I've mastered it. I have not mastered it, but I'm on my way to mastering it. I can tell if someone is safe or if someone is not safe very quickly.
Have you ever come across somebody that red flags just started flying in your head?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There were
That's
times during the journeys where people would say, you can stay at my house. And I'd say, I'd make some excuse. I'd say, oh, thank you so much. I can't because I'm doing this or I'm doing that, but thank you.
wow.
So it's intuition. I use my intuition and I listen to my intuition, right?
That's awesome.
Like for example, Ari, I would stay at your house, but Angelo's in the house. I would never
No
say
way.
that.
I don't blame you.
No,
Many
but
have gone and never
That's
We'll
come
never, we'll,
hilarious.
we'll never go to sleep.
no, but it's intuition, the first. And the second thing is I talk, this may sound weird, but I talk to their hearts. My heart talks to their heart. And and that is one of the things that I learned on my journey. I speak to people's hearts. I bypass their mind and I speak to their hearts. And again, do I do this perfectly? Absolutely not. Have I done it perfectly where I haven't been murdered so far? Yes, I have. Right.
Right.
But
Wow.
have I, made mistakes? Yes. Has my intuition been wrong? Of course. But it's never been wrong in a very horrific way
Wow.
yet.
Wow.
That's
That's a
amazing.
good question.
I mean that's just
That's a
amazing
good
because
question.
it's you heard the man. It's
You
I
know,
couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine.
if I can add, Ari, to what you're saying as well, and to Angelo's points about us as Greek Americans and our audience who are listening to this podcast and these episodes, as Greek Americans, a big part of our culture is our faith. And a big part of our faith is obviously surrounded by the church. And, the whole basis about following tradition and culture and God and so forth. And I find so many times when I you know, participate my obligations to attending services or participating in events around the church, that I see so many lost souls who think that just by showing up, they're doing their part to find or to be connected to God. And after seeing the film, I say this is such an eye opener that I think we are walking with blinders on when it comes to connecting with God. And it should go beyond the what we're used to, Ari and Angelo and Leon, as Greek Americans who are in the Greek Orthodox faith, that not to knock the our faith down, but at the same token I think we don't apply it well, or we don't apply ourselves when it comes to connecting to God.
Well, it also goes beyond just Greek Orthodox. I think all people. I think
All
all people
people.
that
But
just don't, they haven't found it, they don't understand it. Um, and Leon, I would, a goal for me would be to be able to get a little bit more in your understanding of people and spirituality because I've always been kind of, 1 + 1 = 2, science, data, facts. I can't see it. I don't know. But in the last couple of years, man, a lot has showed me that no, there's so much more out there that we just don't understand. I mean, I don't know about the organized religion of Greek Orthodox or other organized religion, whatever, but the spirituality is what I'm talking about. And that's a lot of the stuff that I've seen with you, Leon, that like again, inspiring stuff. And as Angel said, everybody's got to see this because it's a benefit to your spirituality, your humanity. I
Absolutely.
right?
So there's a famous Indian mystic called Kabir, and he has a very interesting quote. He said, I wanted to meet God, so I sat still for 3 days. Literally, that's it. Literally. It's
And
like the reason why we called the movie The Kindness Within, within. It's within. It's all within. And the reason why we got all these amazing people like Sadhguru and Gabor Mate to be in the film was because we knew that they would continue that within aspect of the movie. It's within, it happens within. But if we spend all of our time externalizing everything, sitting on the couch watching TV, as I was doing today, I was sitting on the couch watching TV thinking to myself, what are you doing? You're just sitting on the couch watching TV, like wasting away, right? So we know, even if we know what we have to do, sometimes we don't do it. And most of us don't even know what to do. So no wonder we don't do it.
right. That's a good point.
Do you meditate, Leon? Do you meditate?
I've meditated, yes, for a while.
Do you recommend it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can meditate in silence. You can meditate with mindfulness, looking at your breath, feeling your breath. You can meditate with music, many different ways. I've actually started doing it with specific music, which is really helpful. And I will tell you a trick that I have to get myself from my mind to my heart is a very, very simple thing that every single person can do. Whenever I feel like I'm having a flip out, which happens from time to time, quite often actually, an internal flip out, not an external one. Those are much rarer. If I'm in my mind and I'm not in a good place, I will put a song on that touches my heart and I will play it on repeat, if necessary, for hours.
Yeah.
Until it gets me into my heart, until it grounds me. And then I will go from the day from that place. It's such a simple thing. Anyone can do it. It's like if I'm at 97% anxiety and I put a song on, that I listen to for an hour or whatever, I will guaranteed go below 50%. Guaranteed. And everyone can do that.
That's good. I've done, it's funny you say I've done that. And I like, my wife goes, why keep playing the song? I like it.
The song Angela listens to is I'm Too Sexy by Right Said Fred.
But you remind, I have to say this joke. A juggler told me once I was working. He said to me, a guy, his car breaks down in Arizona and his cell phone dies and he has to get to the next gas station. So the guy pulls up and goes, hey buddy, are you okay? He goes, no. He goes, my car broke down and I got no battery power. It's 112 degrees. Yeah, hop in. I'll give you a ride to the gas station. Oh, thanks. So he seems like a nice man. He gets in the car with him and they start driving. He goes, thanks so much. He goes, so nice, so kind of you to give me a ride. He goes, especially nowadays, he says, for all I could be a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
And the driver turns to him and says, what are the chances of two of us being in the car at the same time? So I always think of that. It's always like going and I think because we have shows like 48 hours and all this stuff. So my wife watches way too much of that.
Oh yeah, true crime is like insane.
Jim was an insurance agent in Beaver Pond, Pennsylvania. I was part of the church and the little league coach. He had a little secret, like all that stuff. But no, this is cool. I mean, we can go on and on and on, but I mean, it's so nice to have you on today, Leon, and I congratulate you for The Kindness Within, A Journey to Freedom, which is on Amazon Prime. I loved it. I'm going to probably watch it again. My wife fell asleep because I watched the whole thing, but she was tired. She has the kids and everything, but we're going to do it again. And for anybody listening, it's on Amazon Prime. And you definitely gotta give this a watch because I was inspired by it, and I'm not blowing smoke up anybody's butt here. Really inspired. The thing I appreciated so much, I felt like I was on the journey with you, and that was mission accomplished. And I'm sure you're happy to hear that because that's probably the whole idea of that.
Was that an intention? Was that an intention?
Absolutely. We wanted people to come on the journey with me, and really to be by my side and to be how do I say this, not to be me, but to look at it through my eyes and your own eyes, right? And your own heart.
Right.
And I wanted to make it universal. I wanted everyone to be able to to watch it and to feel like they were part of this.
And
Great.
I
Mission
feel like
accomplished.
we need this. We need this now more than
More
ever.
than ever, more than
In
ever.
my opinion, more than ever, we
Absolutely.
need this. And
Absolutely.
fate, whatever it is that brought you to your path in life, Leon, I'm glad. I don't know if I'm glad that it's right now because everything's so crazy, but it's needed right now. So I'm very happy that people such as yourself with the intuition, the knowledge, the understanding, a wisdom that you have. All people have a wisdom. You have your wisdom, but this wisdom I think is needed by more people who just maybe they don't get it, maybe they don't understand it. Definitely stressful times. This is a needed thing, and kudos to you for this for what you do, for what you do.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We hope you do more.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm waiting for the next one. I'm sure he
something?
said, I'm done. And then in about 6 months from now, he's going to be sitting there going, got this other idea. I'm feeling something. I get the impression from Leon. He's a man who he gets inspiration, feels it, and it's like, well, we're doing it.
Yeah, not planned, right? Is that
not planned.
right?
I think it's got to come to him.
Pretty much.
That's the best way.
It's so true. Everything that I've done that you guys have seen has come in that way, where it's just come out of nowhere seemingly. And once I get it in my mind, that's it. It's over.
And that makes it more genuine.
Great. That's wonderful.
100%. If he was telling us his plan for the next 10 years, he's like, I'm going to do a Netflix special here and Amazon Prime, like I'd be like, okay, whatever. But the fact that it's like when he gets inspired, he produces something that is great and helpful and beneficial to humanity. And that's awesome.
Well said.
Thank you. That's what
Thanks,
we try
Leon.
to do.
Well,
Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to coming on again.
absolutely.
We're going to have you back on again, man. I love this interview today. It was great.
Right. And Leon, I told you my wife has some words for you.
I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry.
Horta sucks.
Just so people know, Leon is you're a vegan, right?
I was a vegan. I'm now a vegetarian.
Okay, all right. So
better.
So close enough, but we had him on before, and he stated as a vegan that he didn't like horta, and my wife took great offense to that, and she's like, "I need to understand this a little more." So we're gonna bring Leon back so he could argue with my wife, which you could take my place, no problem.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you so much, Leon. We appreciate you. We appreciate everything you do, and we appreciate you taking the time with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Leon.
And thanks, Foti. Thank you, Angelo. Again, thank you, Leon. Thanks, everybody out there for watching and listening. And we will see you all next time. Make sure you catch Leon's Amazon Prime special. Please watch it. It's amazing. Check out all the information in the show notes. Everything is there. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.